Hi, welcome back to the studio. I'm Jackie Wolven, and every Sunday I bring you into my studio where I paint on whatever I've been working on and have a little chat. Grab a coffee, beverage, and let's just have some time together in the studio. So happy that you're here. Let me show you what I'm working on today. I'm going to try to get kind of close so you get an idea. So I'm working on this painting, which is part of my Animal Queendom series. I have one other one done. Maybe I'll drop a photo here so you can see what that looks like. Anyway, I thought this would go much faster, but they are kind of detailed, and so they're not going faster, but this is what this painting is. And so I've got today, I want to work on the crowns that are on each of the deer and the owl, although I might take the crown off the owl, I'm not sure. Finish those owl eyes. And then I also really want to work on some of these flowers. I just feel like there's not enough going on here. So that's what we're going to work on today, or some of that we're going to work on today, and then we'll have a little chat. I thought I'd tell you a little bit more about like how I started painting, what I've been doing with it, and sort of the struggles that I've had, or my that are all internal, no external struggles. So let's chat about it. I have a bang trim today, thank God, because they're so long, just in my face. Anyway, yeah, so all the hair things. Okay, so first I'm going to move my coffee because I inevitably will try to put my paintbrush in it. And then I want to get started on these. And it's a mix of, I'm going to use a mix of yellow ochre. Maybe I'll start with yellow ochre and then see what I want to do with that. Anyway, I thought, so I know I said in a previous studio video that I started painting when I was 50, which is true. I had been in therapy for a year, I think, and I saw some classes from the artist Amanda Evanston. She has a really big following on, well, I found her on Instagram, and she has a group, Facebook group, and then teaches a class every Tuesday. And so I thought, well, I want to start painting, and it seemed very accessible. In fact, hold on. Let me show you. Let me show you. So I'm going to move the camera so you can see and flip you. All of this work was those beginning classes. And I keep it up here, even though it's, you know, kind of childlike and very simplistic. I keep it up here just to remember. That's from my husband. That's what I paint on, and then he wrote that, so I keep that there. But these are all, this is where I started. This is how I first started painting. And she helped me to just feel free with the paint, like to not feel like it was precious, to not feel like I needed an MFA, to not feel like I don't know, like I was an imposter. She has a way of helping people who want to learn how to paint just get in there and get messy. And so I did that for about a year, and felt like, oh, okay, so I get some basic, just freedom. It's not technique. Well, there are techniques of like how to paint loose, things like that, but it's not like an art class where you're going to learn the fundamentals of acrylic painting or anything like that. It's more of a let's learn how to paint florals freely, or let me show you this technique to do a birthday cake, or you know, it's simple, I guess, but it was exactly what I needed to feel safe to make my own mess and to create my own thing. So I did that first. And then I started painting on my own, some my own things, the things that I wanted to paint, and I started drawing. And I had been told, oh gosh, in elementary school by a teacher that I couldn't draw. And so, in fact, the quote was, "Do not do not draw trees like that. That's not what they look like. Do not make lollipop trees." Well, I know now that it's developmentally appropriate at a certain age to draw lollipop trees, but I was so disheartened that I just sort of gave up. And I think I was like in first or third, first, second, third grade, like little. Third grade, I think. Now that I think about it, third grade. Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson. She didn't know. She didn't realize what the effect of that would be. But I didn't draw. So then I went into commercial art. A person who didn't think they could draw, but I had a really good eye. I knew that I could do that. I knew that I could do design, and so I went to school for that. And I was one of the first to work on a Mac because we were moving from paste-up to actual computers, so I can do both. I did learn how to draw some things because I had to do all kinds of things in pen. One of my first jobs while I was still in school was drawing all of the ads for a grocery store, which I recently told my grandson, who's 7, and he just couldn't believe that someone would draw all those things. Draw the Folgers, draw the apples, draw the steak. Like, I could draw all of those with pen and ink. Anyway, so I did that, but then my first real job was designing the packaging for Ninja Turtle toys. And then I went on to do much bigger projects. And I love design. I do. I love design. But I also wanted the freedom of fine art. So I take that first class with Amanda Evanston. Then I go off on my own. And then I try to take a class with another artist who's pretty popular online. And it was just too fast paced for me. I did some beautiful work in there, but what I realized from that was, oh, I don't want to paint the same picture that everybody's painting. I just want to learn tips, techniques, tools, and then do my own thing. And so I only did that for a little while, and then I went on to just paint on my own. And I haven't taken a class. I don't think I've taken a class since. It doesn't mean I won't take a class again in the future. It just means I haven't taken a class since then. I have shown my work in 2 group shows locally. We have a cafe, a coffee place that is, the owner of it curates a show, and I was invited twice to participate in that. And in both of those shows, in one of those shows I sold 4 pieces, and another show I sold 1 piece, and or big piece, which was great. It felt great. And then I've done sales on Instagram, and I've sold my work that way, where I post a piece and then people can just buy it. And I have sold quite a few pieces in that way. What I haven't done is I haven't really publicly shown my work other than that. I'm just a little shy about it. I think it's all internal. So I live in an arts community, and I sometimes feel like there are people who've been doing work for so much longer than I have, and I guess I just don't feel like I would be accepted. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I would be. I don't think anyone would bar me from the room if I said I'm a painter, but it has been an internal block that I just feel uncomfortable. And so I haven't really um, pursued it other than those things. I've entered in a few regional shows and haven't been selected. I think partially because my work is naive on purpose. I'm looking for a loose, bright, childlike quality. That's on purpose. I'm not interested in painting really tight and realistic, which I can do, but that's not what I'm interested in. And so I understand that I may not be everybody's flavor, and that's okay. But I keep entering. In fact, so I just entered in the one that I told you about in the last, I think in the last vlog. And then I am going to enter, I think they're down here. Hold on. I'm going to enter 2 of the teapots. So I entered 2 teapots in one show, and then I'm going to enter another teapot. I'm going to enter this one. Yeah, I'm going to enter this one in the state show. And I think I'm going to call it Oolong because they're all named after tea. So I think I'm going to name this Oolong. And then I'm also going to enter this one, I think. So two different teapots, similar but different, and hopefully maybe I'll be selected. That is a juried show with the person who is deciding is from out of state, and really it's the best of the best, so who knows. But I think it's important to continue to put myself out there. What I don't know how to do is sort of put myself out sort of locally or regionally. I have a lot of work, so I mean, I in theory could do shows. In theory, I could do shows with a tent and the whole deal. I just don't think that's something I want to do. It's a huge investment. It's a huge investment to do that. People have to pay quite a bit just to frame everything or have prints made or have other products that might go along. And for me, it feels like such a gamble because I'm new. And so doing that feels like, well, would I, get my return? And I just don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so mostly the reason I do all this is for myself anyway. It brings me such extreme joy. And so it isn't about outward validation, it's an internal validation. And so I don't really need to do any of those shows, but I say that. But I have so many paintings. I have so many paintings, and I'm running out of wall space in my house, and I'm running out of space in my studio, and I just keep creating them. And there's got to be a point at some point where, let's see, there's got to be a point at some point where I actually do something with them. Only because I don't want them to just sit in this room. That seems terrible, right? So I don't know. If you have ideas on maybe what I should do or how I might approach it, or how you have approached your art practice and how you approach the work that you're doing and how you get it out into the public, I would be so interested, because I obviously am not sure what to do. I'm just not sure. And so, yeah, I'd love some feedback on what you think maybe I should try for or reach for. I like to take risks. It isn't like I'm afraid to take risks. I just don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. And because I'm such a new painter and I am, been kind of quiet about it, I I'm not sure the avenue to take. Oh gosh, that feels like a lot to say. I think people probably come to this and they're like, oh, she's a painter and look, she's doing all this work and she must have a plan for it. And no, I paint because I want to paint. Which is, enough. It's enough of a reason, but maybe I should be doing something more with them. Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts and if you have suggestions or ideas. Um, what might I do? What do you think I should do with them? Anyway. I have to say, I think a lot about that teacher who told me I couldn't draw and how that affected me. And not that I don't have regrets like, oh, I should have started art sooner or I should have, you know, tried sooner. I don't live like that, but it does make me think, I wonder what other things I've inhibited myself from because someone might have said something. Um, I don't know. It's interesting, right? I also grew up in a family. So my brother had an MFA in photography, and my sister could draw, and my mom was a poet. And they basically said, I know this is going to sound sort of crazy, but they basically said, well, we can't really have more artists in the family. Like enough, that's enough. We can't have any more. Like, in other words, you can't pursue art because we are artists, which now when I say that out loud does sound crazy, but they were um, my mom was a little narcissistic. And so that, she didn't really want competition. And I don't know, that was sort of the like, if you know anything about like family roles, most siblings, children, the whole family plays a role, and the role that they had decided for me was not to be an artist. And so I really didn't do any of it until, now that I think about it, until they all passed away. Um, and it felt really freeing to be able to do whatever I wanted to do because I had this idea about what I should or could or might do. And so I wonder that too, like all of the sort of negative input that I got as a kid really affected, what I explored in my own life. And yeah, I just wonder what else I haven't done or haven't tried or haven't explored because someone had an idea about it. And I wonder if you have that. Like, have people told you things like, oh, you can't be a XYZ, and so you didn't go down that path, but maybe you could have? Yeah, I don't know. That's wild, right? I'm going to let this dry. All that has to dry. The thing about acrylic paint, it actually dries pretty quickly, but I like it to be dry before I try to put more paint on top of it. But I'm loving it so far. I'm loving it so far. I do really like the added flowers, and I'll add some more green to that. And then I probably will add one more kind of flower. So there's 3 kinds. We live in, we don't have a lawn like grass. We have a biodiverse lawn that includes all kinds of wildflowers, and so I know that there's never just one. There's multiple things going on. So I'm gonna put this down, and then I thought I'd show you. I think I'm finished with this painting, so I just want to show you kind of where it ended up. I painted this last time, and let's see if I can get it closer so you can get a better shot of it. Yeah. I think I'm done. I think I love the orange. I love the background. Yeah, I think I'm done there, and I just really am pleased. I'm pleased with the way that turned out, and yeah, it was a delight to paint. And you know, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with it, but it's the last I think it's the last teapot that I'm going to paint, which is good since I have so many of them. Um, but I am going to have to do something with this series. It's so pretty. And I don't know. I think I might frame a couple of them. So because these are 18 by 24, Target actually has a really inexpensive, beautiful frame that I use frequently, and it just slips right in, and I love that. I love that. That's why I paint on this size, is because it's so easy to get the frame. The frame is like, I don't know, $25, $30. It's not very expensive, but it's really nicely made. And so because it's so easy to frame, I don't have to take it to a framer. I can just pop it in this frame. I feel like this size works really well for me. That's the thing about painting. You have to make sure that if you are going to sell it, that framing it is not going to be challenging, because there's a big cost in that. And so, yeah, I think this one has come to the finish line, and I don't know if I'll frame, I don't know what I'll frame yet, but hopefully some of them go into a regional or state show. That would be great. Maybe some will sell. That would be even better. And some of them will be hung in here or in my house, I think. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about creating work, any kind of work. You have a lot of it and you have to decide what to do with it. So, yeah, I'm excited about this. I I will say I did have someone comment on why I seem so upbeat about my work. It wasn't on here, it was like in the world. And here's what I know: no one else is going to love your work as much as you love your work. And so you have to really love it out loud. You have to love it, express it, feel like it is good, and you enjoy doing it, and you enjoy the process, and you enjoy the end and the whole thing. And if you're not able to express how much you love your own work, it's not about being narcissistic. It's not about that. It's about expressing the joy that you have in the work that you have. If no one else is going to do that, not really, not, and no one is going to want a painting or a drawing or a crocheted blanket that you kind of go, I did this. There's no joy in that. A gift or a thing that you make, anything that you do with your hands, when it's shared in love, that you loved doing it and you love talking about it and you love expressing your joy around it, is received so much better. And so I have trained myself over the years to just be super positive about the work that I'm making, because I think it matters. I think it matters for myself, because if I don't love it, I'm not going to do it. In fact, I have paintings that I've worked on that I don't like, and so you stop working on them. That's what happens. And I also know that love and joy are catching. Other people will feel that from you, and also feel the excitement that you have. And so that's why I talk so positively about the work that I do. Even though I'm not sure what I'm doing with it, I still find the joy in it, and I want to express that. So that's why I talk so positively about it. And I also talk really positively about other people's work too. Maybe I'll do a video on that, on how to talk about other people's work. I have a lot of tips. Um, and there's a right way and a not so great way to talk about someone's work, and maybe that would be helpful. If you go to craft shows or art shows or museums, or really any place where the artist is behind their work, so like the artist is there are ways to express about work, that their art, that is heartfelt and kind and loving, so that their feelings don't get hurt. Because I think every artist has heard, oh, I could do that. Okay, great. That is not what they want to hear. Or I once took a piece to be part of a show, and someone said, wow, that's colorful, which isn't a bad way, a bad thing to say. My work is very colorful. It just came across as sort of like my eyeballs hurt instead of actual joy. Anyway, it didn't matter. It sold like that. And in fact, it sold before the show opened. So I wasn't concerned about it, but it was a little like, oh, okay. Yeah, we could all do some coaching on how to talk about artwork and crafts and whatever it is that somebody makes. Cookies, for goodness sake. We could learn to talk differently about how people respond to things that are handmade. Anyway, maybe I'll talk about that sometime. Anyway, I appreciate having you here. I love having you in my studio. I love working with you. You keep me company. I get things done. I'm getting a lot of things done, and that feels really good. And I will see you next Sunday. Like, subscribe, do the things. I so appreciate it.